Welcome back to another episode of Gear and Beer. Today we're going over GT mountain bikes. Hey folks, welcome back. Joining us in the studio is the Asian with the biggest quads, Jansa, and joined by our guest host with the nicest beard in the studio, Todd Hunt.
Do what I can.
Yeah. Hey, thanks guys. Thanks for being here. So John and I went out. We tested a GT mountain bike. We're kind of seeing, is it a good quality and a good price for a bike like this? We didn't go really high end or anything, but kind of want to see if this price point and this bike would do a lot of what we were looking for it to do, which is be a good all-around bike for guys that are way into mountain biking like Todd can be, or also great with the family. Real quick on why I bought this bike. It's $450. I was looking at like $1,000 mountain bike because I was going to go out with my buddies and go downhill mountain biking, but I wanted to be around my family a lot more and use it for both, and my wife needed a bike. So GT was having a super nice sale, $450 for a bike. I was about to spend $1,000 on one, so I bought two. I bought this GT Aggressor for myself, and I bought the same model, GT, but the women's bike for my wife, so we can go out riding, and so I can go join Todd on the mountain with his nice bikes and keep up with him pretty well, or my other buddies that mountain bike. So, Todd, you kind of got to touch this and move around the studio. What did you think about the bike?
Yeah, I mean, first initial impression, the bike looks phenomenal. It looks good. It feels good. First impression, yeah, looks like a good bike. I mean, if I was in the store shopping around, looking around, it would get my attention.
Nice. Right. I mean, it's bright orange. I mean,
yeah, color.
I always
style.
say bright colors make you look like you're going faster.
Perfect.
That's why I wear neon shoes when I run.
Oh.
It's like
it shows off those legs too. Jesus, brings the eyes right to the speed. It's 6061 aluminum, had the disc brakes, has pretty good gears, not the best. I had a Specialized for about $800, and that was nicer brakes, nicer gears, but I felt for $450 I couldn't pass it up, especially with everything else I was getting. With my wife getting a bike, being able to go out with my family, and being able to ride with my buddies, I was like, this is a solid deal.
Yeah. I run, so, for this price point, there's a lot of great features. I'll tell you a little bit about the bike I run right now and how it compares. I run a Specialized Chisel Pro. Back when I bought it, maybe 3 years ago, the Pro's around $2,000. That's not upgraded. And then I put some upgrades on mine. I did, carbon handlebars. I did pedals. I did a dropper post. There's a few other things I did to it. And so by the time I was looking to build a bike that was going to be for trail and single track downhill, but not aggressive rock riding. And it's a phenomenal bike. The weight on it's good. But what you're getting with a bike like that is for things like that, right? Yeah. You're buying a bike like that so that you can be aggressive and you can go down mountains and you're keeping up with guys that ride, and it's a more experienced bike.
Oh yeah.
And when I trail ride with it, I like the weight of it and all that stuff. Now, going to a bike like this, I think what you see is this is heavier. It just doesn't have the lightweight feel, which is fine if you're not trying to ascend, major mountains with it.
Yeah.
And I think that for your average dad, you want to get in, like he was saying, go in the neighborhood for a ride. I mean, ride on pavement or even trails or, dirt or wherever. This bike is gonna do what you need it to do.
Yeah.
You're not gonna need the brakes. You're not gonna need all the high-end stuff,
Yeah. Hey, John, before we get your opinion, because you wrote it with me, Todd's looking thirsty, so we're going to crack some cold ones, since we also drink beer on the show, if you didn't know, and get back into the bike.
All right.
Hey, guys, while we're out cracking cold ones, please hit that like and subscribe button. Join us, be a part of our beer burying group here. It really helps us out a lot and helps us support the channel. Sweet. So we are drinking a Hazy Tron Imperial IPA by Deschutes. Have either of you guys had this before?
I've not had this one, but Deschutes I'm a fan. I love this brewery. Yeah.
So this is definitely a surprise by one of our producers to get a real honest opinion about this beer. So real quick before we open it, I see it's got 8% alcohol volume. And it's radically juicy, experimentally hopped, freshly squeezed. No fruit was harmed in the making of this beer. So let's get to it, guys. Let's crack them.
Bend Oregon.
I missed it, dude. My hand slipped. Out of sync. Let's drink this real quick and do it again.
You're right. What is it? Is it about like 95 degrees today?
Feels harder than that, man.
And I think this would be a perfect beer for it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of like skunky, hoppy, heavy IPAs. This is more fruit forward.
Yeah.
This really does have that juicy fruit flavor. I actually would buy this for real.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been on like this hazy kick lately. Like for a long time, I wasn't a fan of IPAs. I was drinking more lagers, stouts, porters, and then got introduced to a line of hazies, and I just can't put them down. I like them with a hamburger. I like them with pizza. I like them after I work in the yard. I like them after I go for a mountain bike ride. Like it's a beer I want in my fridge all the time.
Yeah, no, this is like, we traveled to Portland. I know this says Bend, Oregon, but when we were in Portland, we actually stumbled into Deschutes, and they got a bunch of variety of beers there, and I was blown away. And there's a bunch of microbreweries in Portland. Shout out to Portland, and there's good beer scene out there.
And I got nothing bad to say about Deschutes. I mean, we bought this beer. We buy our gear. We're gonna give honest reviews about everything. So far, initial taste delicious, aftertaste good, and I'm just gonna keep chiming in of what I think about it as we go on. So, John, you were out with me in the field testing this mountain bike. Did it work your quads? Did it feel good?
It did. It definitely worked my quads. I was on the low gears, just to work the quads. And then when I was kind of testing it, what I was looking for was like how does it respond to all the bumps?
Yeah.
So because obviously it doesn't have front suspension, doesn't have back suspension. So like
it does have some front fork suspension,
okay.
But you're looking at maybe like 50 millimeter
right.
versus like 100,
right.
120 or even 130.
Yeah. So you want to see how those responded. No, I thought this was great. Went up and down the hill pretty fast. So
I do think it's cool that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're fine.
There is a lockout for the suspension, and when you think about a $450 bike, the suspension exists. It's functional, but there's a lockout, which is great. So when you turn that, you're either going to open it all the way up, allow full suspension motion, or you can lock it out. And when you lock it out, you still get that good energy transfer to your front. Yeah. So you're not going to lose, energy. Yeah. So I know most shocks have them. I've seen maybe a couple out there that just don't.
Yeah.
And those are like cheap.
Yeah, and I mean, the only upgrade I did to this bike was I threw more aggressive pedals on there. So instead of plastic with those aggressive spikes to lock your feet in, I threw metal pedals on there. And then I added a water bottle holder. And that was it. Like, I felt for $450, this bike was in great shape. I could ride around the trails, around the lakes and the mountains that I want to do. I can easily tell what trails I can't. Like, I'm not going to go up to the Sierra Nevadas and do downhill mountain biking with this thing. That'd be ridiculous. Not to say I wouldn't try it, because I'm probably dumb enough to try it, but I know what the bike's limits are, and I knew what I was getting into when I bought it. The only thing else I'd probably change on the bike would be, once the tires wear out, because their tires are great right now, is just get maybe a different tire. Wired tire, maybe more aggressive tread, depending on what I'm going to go do. But, I mean, it's really not that heavy of a bike. The brakes work pretty dang well. And for the stuff we went out and tested around the lake, that's where I ride a lot of the time.
You know what the difference really comes between an expensive bike and an inexpensive bike is you're talking about components, right? Other than that, is going to be all the little things. You see how the wires are shown here. With the more expensive bike, it will be tucked in to the frame. You won't see all of those the wires coming out because everything is cleaner with the more expensive bike. That's what you're gonna get with a more expensive bike. They're gonna try to keep, because over time when you start hauling these bikes, your wires are exposed. The more likely that it's gonna get hit, banged.
Oh yeah, I've already had to fix my wife's. Not a defect of the bike. I just hit one of the brake cable plastic pieces that tuck it away, and I busted it right off, and it was dark, and I couldn't see, so I just threw a zip tie on there and stuck it back.
Right. I mean, I think, to be honest, we're not comparing a motorbike or like a e-bike versus this one, it really comes down to the rider. Yeah. How good of a shape that person is. Bike doesn't go for you. It doesn't pedal for you unless you have an e-bike. But, you know, if you want to get a good workout, good up and down the hill, and, you know, pull your kids in the trailer in the back, this is a perfect bike.
Nice. Yeah. And what do you typically ride, John?
So I used to have a trailer, chariot trailer in the back when my kids are younger. It was a dual size, so I hooked them on there. And then we actually went on Bay Bridge in Oakland, and there's a little side along the bridge where you can run or jog, do a little mountain biking or biking there. I took the kids there. They really loved it. I had a good time. I love riding anyway, so anywhere I could take my kids, it was a good place to be.
Nice.
So I'm more of a road / trail, not a whole lot of mountain bike. Yeah. So my bike is about 15 years old, hand me down. So it's got a lot of wires exposed. Everything is, you know, there, but you know, that was fine for me. And if I was getting a bike today, this might be the choice.
Yeah, I'd say, and Todd, you can correct me if I'm wrong. You got probably a little bit more experience. This is maybe leaning more towards trail with a little mountain versus like a bike you have is way more mountain, a little bit less on just a regular trail.
Yep. And I liked what you said, you know, you kind of learn the limit of your tool.
Yeah.
You could definitely do a lot with it, but you may not get the same response or balance or, you know, endurance out of something like this. But it's all in what you're looking for.
Yeah.
You know, right. Yeah. And going back. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
But saying is, a lot of times, like, you know, cables will run through the frame on like a higher end bike. They'll take the time to run it through, and it is protected. You get those features, and hopefully you're not going so hard that you're throwing your bike. You know, last thing a rider wants to do is slide out, go down.
Yeah.
Because it's all injuries, right? And it's skin for sure. And yeah, things can get damaged. You know, like the cables can, you know, pull off, things like that. But again, you're not going to be going that hard with a bike like this. And if you are, you probably want to think about upgrading.
Yeah.
You know, just for your own safety.
The reason I bought this bike, I had opportunity to buy a super nice bike, full suspension, downhill, everything. Opted to go for still good quality. I think GT makes a great quality bike, but not as high of end. So I could get two for my family. I was looking to do just what an average person would do because money's tight for me. So I kind of have this thing called the average dad approval. Would the average dad working the average job, making the average income, give this bike a yay or a nay, and why? And I would definitely give this an average dad approval for me because it checks all my boxes. I can go out and I can ride a moderately aggressive trail, but I can also go out and ride the paved trail as my kids learn to ride their own bikes, and I'm not blowing past them. Yeah. What do you guys think?
A thumbs up for me. GT makes great bikes. I used to ride little bikes. Oh man, the trick bikes of GT, and when I was like 7th grade, and I think they still make great bikes, and for same reasons, right? Like pulling kids, doing up and down the hill, and also just daily ride. I think that's a good bike. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. As a dad of 4 kids, my kids ride actually a bike just like this. They're learning on, and this reminds me a lot of the 2 bikes I put both of my boys on.
Yeah.
At 4.5 and 5 years old, and they did phenomenal with it, you know. And I know if I went to get this bike and I was going to ride it, keep up with them, it'd be a great bike.
Yeah,
I could do it. I could do it.
I think it's harder for us to go drop $1,000 on a bike.
Yeah.
When we all have kids. I mean, we're all average dads. We all got kids at home and wives, and we kind of want to go out and do things with the family. So if you guys are looking for a good bike, GT makes a great product. Not saying this is one you have to buy, but this is a great, not just entry level. I think it can do a little bit more than entry, but it's going to give you the capabilities of working on becoming more advanced if you want. But it's also going to be there for if you have a family and you want to get out there with the kids and just look. GT's doing sales all the time. I waited till a sale came up and I bought the bike. I mean, I think it was the week before $200-300 more, and it was for $450. I couldn't pass it up. Even though, you know, everything in me wants the nicer bike, the nicer gears, the better suspension, everything. I was like, you know, I went in with the purpose, knew what I wanted. So I'd say across the board, across the couch, this bike's got the average dad approval. And I would also say this Deschutes Haze Tron is getting my approval too.
It's dialed.
Yeah. And if I'm gonna ride a bike, this is definitely coming with me afterwards.
Right, and your shirt matches your.
Yeah, dude. Look at that.
It's camouflage.
Can you even see the beer can right now?
That's sexy. That's actually sexy. Yeah.
Unless I turn it this way.
That's cool.
All right, guys. Hey, thanks for joining us in the studio. Hope this episode helped anybody who's looking for a mountain bike or looking to get into mountain biking or trying to find a bike that goes well with the family. As well as you beer barians out there, I hope that our input on the Deschutes Haze Tron helped you realize that this is a beer you need in your fridge, and a beer you need to bring to the next barbecue, and a beer you need to have with your buddy the next time he shows up and you just do a garage talk. Until next time, cheers, boys.
Cheers, man.